Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 1 hour. In a tit-for-tat move against Russian leader Dmitry Medvedev, US President Donald Trump orders 2 nuclear submarines to strategic regions. In response, Russia issues a retaliatory statement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India must remain vigilant about its own interests, with the global economy facing uncertainties, while inaugurating key developmental projects worth 2,200 crore INR in Varanasi. Brazilians hit the streets in multiple cities like Brasilia, Sao Paulo and Rio, denouncing Donald Trump and the US president's politically motivated tariffs against their nation. And day 3 of the 5th and final test between India and England gets underway as it looks set for an exciting finish. Well, let's begin with the latest developments in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. 3 people were killed and 2 injured after an overnight Ukraine drone strike in the western Russian region on Saturday. Russia's defense ministry said it destroyed a total of 146 Ukrainian drones over 7 districts in a period of 9 hours. The death toll rose to 31 in the year's deadliest strike against Ukraine. On Thursday, Russia launched more than 300 drones and 8 missiles early on Ukrainian towns and cities. Another drone strike on Friday injured 10 people in Kharkiv. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited areas where high-rise apartment buildings suffered heavy damage. Now, tensions between the US and Russia have escalated this week as US President Donald Trump and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev exchanged threatening statements. In response to threats from Medvedev, Trump on Friday said he's ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions. In his social media post on his own social media platform, Truth Social, Trump said words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. He said he hoped this will not be one of those instances. A day earlier, Medvedev had said Trump should remember that Moscow possesses Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort. Asked later by reporters why he ordered the submarine movement, Trump said a threat was made by a former president of Russia and he has to protect the people.
Oh yeah, well, we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate. So I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
Speaking to reporters about the trade tariffs, US President Trump has said he might consider giving dividends from tariffs revenues to citizens. Since he arrived in office at the beginning of the year, Trump imposed trade tariffs on several countries, claiming it will help reduce debt and inflation.
There are a lot of people that would like to see us do sort of a dividend to the people of our country. It's something I'd consider. How much would I want to pay off debt, but there's a possibility I'd do a dividend.
Further, Donald Trump told reporters on Friday that Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva can call him anytime to discuss tariffs and other frictions between the 2 countries. Later, calling Trump's remarks great, Brazil's finance minister Fernando Haddad said he is sure Lula feels the same and would be willing to receive a call from the US president. In a post on X, Lula also said Brazil has always been open to dialogue, although he did not mention Trump nor his earlier remarks. And earlier, Trump had slapped a 50% tariff on Brazil, with many exemptions starting next week to fight what he's called a witch hunt against former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro.
I think it's great, and I'm sure the feeling is mutual. President Lula would be willing to receive a phone call from him whenever he wanted as well. As I said before, it's very important that we prepare for this meeting, for this conversation. Today, once again, I had contact with US Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent's team, so we can have a meeting next week. So finally, the longer meeting is more focused on the unilateral decision of the United States regarding Brazil. We will be able to exchange ideas on all topics, including this one.
And Brazilians have been holding protests across several cities denouncing the US president's politically motivated tariffs. Anti-Trump protests have been held in Brasilia, Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, a sign of souring ties between two of America's largest economies. And Trump has also said his Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff had a great meeting on Gaza food aid.
I did. I spoke to Steve Witkoff. He had a great meeting with a lot of people, and the primary meeting was on food. And he also had some other conversations that I'll tell you about later. But he had a meeting on getting the people fed, and that's what we want. And I'll see you later on.
Witkoff visited a US-backed aid operation in Gaza on Friday, saying he sought to get food and other aid to people there. The site is run by the US and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in Rafah, where Israel has been fighting the Hamas. Witkoff's visit comes as Israel announced the air dropped 126 food and aid packages into Gaza on Friday, targeting residents in both southern and northern regions. This operation was a joint effort with 6 countries, that's UAE, Jordan, Egypt, Spain, France and Germany. Now, the Federal Reserve in the US has announced on Friday that Governor Adriana Kugler will resign early from her term and will exit the central bank on the 8th of August. The Fed said in a statement that Kugler, who became a governor in September 2023, will leave before her term's conclusion, which was scheduled for the 31st of January next year. Kugler will return to Georgetown University as a professor next autumn. Kugler's early departure may shake up the timeline for the succession process now surrounding Chair Jerome Powell, whose term ends next May. Trump says he's happy about open spots on the Fed board after Kugler resigns.
Yeah, one of the governors, as you know, the Federal Reserve has just announced she's resigning. I understand it was over the fact that she disagreed with somebody from her party. She disagreed with Too Late. You know who Too Late is? Yeah. She disagreed with Too Late on the interest rate. So we'll see what happens. But we just found out that I have a open spot on the Federal Reserve Board. I'm very happy about that, John.
Whereas in an interview with the Newsmax, US President Trump has said that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell will most likely stay in his position, even as Trump sharply criticized the Federal Reserve's policies. Trump said he would remove Powell because the Fed's interest rates were too high, but also added that others have said Powell's removal would disturb the market. He gets out in 7 or 8 months and I'll put somebody else in. That's what Donald Trump said. 4 people were shot and killed Friday after there was an open firing at the Owl Bar in Anaconda, Montana in the US. Manhunt for the suspect, identified as 45-year-old Michael Paul Brown, who lived next door to the bar, is underway. What led to the shooting remains unclear as the FBI helps the police in the probe. Governor of Montana is closely monitoring the situation and has urged prayers for the victims, their families and law enforcement officers responding. So far in 2025, there have been about 256 mass shootings in the US, including Friday's shooting in Anaconda, while around 503 incidents have been reported during the last year. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo on Friday agreed on an outline for regional economic integration framework, as the 2 countries are taking steps towards delivering on a peace deal signed in Washington in June. The tenets agreed on Friday summarize the framework, which includes elements of cooperation on energy, infrastructure, mineral supply chains, national parks and public health, the State Department said in a statement. Rwanda and Congo signed a peace deal in Washington in June at talks held by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, which aims to bring to an end the fighting that had killed thousands and attracted billions of dollars of Western investment to a region rich in tantalum, gold, cobalt, copper, lithium and other minerals. As part of the deal, Kinshasa and Kigali agreed to launch a regional economic integration framework within 90 days. Now, in Ethiopia's war-impacted Oromia region, people in remote villages are gradually regaining access to health care after almost 2 years of disruption. Though the effects of the conflict still linger, a health center in Ethiopia's West Welega zone has reopened after nearly 2 years of conflict-related closure. During the shutdown, residents relied on improvised transport to access care. While services have resumed, medicine shortages persist. A nearby hospital is also recovering, though much of its equipment has been destroyed and medicine transport remains difficult due to continued insecurity. The International Committee of the Red Cross has been supporting health facilities in the region, providing medical supplies, training and logistical support. The conflict between federal forces and Oromo Liberation Army has displaced many and disrupted essential services. 11 people, including a former minister, were arrested in Serbia on Friday after a train station disaster in which 16 people died. The concrete canopy of the newly renovated station in the northern city of Novi Sad collapsed on the 1st of November 2024 in a disaster widely blamed on corruption and poor oversight. It sparked a wave of student-led protests and led to the resignation of Prime Minister Milos Vucevic and the fall of his government. The Public Prosecutor's Office in Novi Sad opened an investigation into the accident and deaths. Now, these include former Construction, Transport and Infrastructure Minister Tomislav Momirovic, as well as former Acting Director of the state-run Serbian Railway Infrastructure Company, Sulan, prosecutor said. Now, the 16th and final Airbus C-295 military transport aircraft has been handed over to the Indian Air Force. The remaining 40 C-295 aircraft will be built at the Airbus facility in Gujarat. DD India's Atman Sandhu has got us this report from Spain.
We're in the heart of Europe's aerospace hub, Sevilla, where a significant milestone has been reached between India-Spain Defence Cooperation. The final and 16th Airbus C-295 military transport aircraft has been ceremonially handed over to the Indian Air Force.
Under the Make in India initiative, the remaining 40 C-295 aircrafts are going to be built at the Airbus facility in Gujarat. The facility was launched by Tata Advanced Systems Limited and formally inaugurated in October 2024 by Prime Minister Modi and Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez. The C-295 is a versatile transport aircraft capable of carrying up to 71 troops, conducting airdrops, cargo missions, medical evacuation, and operating from short unpaved runways, ideal for India's diverse geography.
Right now, we'll move to the more important part, which is the 40 aircraft that are to be built and integrated in India. This is part of the Make in India program of Prime Minister Modi, which has actually seen one of the best projects that we can work on in the world today. And we are going to see over the next 5 to 6 years, 40 aircraft to be built in India. This not only will create an ecosystem for building aircraft, but it will also make sure that most of the parts of an aircraft are built in India too.
Airbus and Tata described this landmark deal as a cornerstone for Atmanirbhar Bharat, highlighting India's self-reliance in boosting its defense power by creating around 15,000 high-skilled direct jobs, around 10,000 indirect jobs, and integrating 125 domestic MSMEs into the aerospace supply chain.
We deliver aircraft number 16. All the aircrafts were delivered ahead of contract, and we are very proud. The customer satisfaction is being 100%. So we reach the highest level of quality in the deliverables of these aircrafts. It's been a day of pride also because we built during all these years a team spirit with the Indian Air Force, with our dear customer, where the teams build not only transparency in the way of working, but real, true trust.
This project has strengthened India-Spain relations beyond defense cooperation. It exemplifies the growing convergence between the two nations in global supply chains and technology development. This is Atman Sandhu in Spain for DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour, an interesting piece by Indian Minister Kumaraswamy on the country's journey in reshaping its industrial landscape with a focus on electric mobility. EV giant Tesla is fined over $240 million in fatal autopilot crash case.
The future always starts now. Some people choose to seize that moment and shape what comes next. This episode is to remind us that impact doesn't always have to be loud to be powerful.
We realized that if women became involved in decision-making and generated income, the whole family would benefit, and women would be involved in this way.
By collecting waste, the city's garbage is considerably reduced. We select what's needed, sort it by quality, and sell it. This is how much of the plastic ends up recycled. If this stops someday, the traffic will come to a standstill.
We aim to ensure animals can return to the wild. If they came to me for food, that wouldn't happen.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, returning to Jammu and Kashmir, where security forces have gunned down 2 terrorists under Operation Akhal in the general area of Akhal in South Kashmir's Kulgam district. The Chinar Corps of the Indian Army said intermittent and intense firefight has continued through the night. It was added that alert troops responded with calibrated fire and tightened the noose while maintaining contact. Operation is still underway. Notably, Indian security forces have intensified their counter-terrorism operations in Jammu and Kashmir, eliminating several terrorists in separate encounters over the past few days. Let me now take you across straight to Srinagar. Joining me from there is DD India Shabir Dar. Shabir, good afternoon. What can you tell us about this particular encounter? I believe that in recent times the number of encounters have increased generally in the Kashmir Valley as well.
Yeah, you're right, Gautam. This is the third encounter in past week in Kashmir, because we have seen the Operation Mahadev, where 3 hardcore terrorists who were involved in the Pahalgam, heinous terror attack were gunned down by the troops of Army, Police, and CRPF in a calibrated and sharp encounter in the outskirts of Srinagar in Dachigam forests. And today's encounter we started last night after a specific information about the presence of militants and terrorists in the Akhal forest area. Akhal is a village in South Kashmir's Kulgam district, and which is surrounded by the dense forests. In those forests, last night the joint operation by Indian Army, CRPF police, and JK police, they coordinated the entire area after specific input. The contact was established with the terrorists, and this morning when it resumed, the forces has initial success of 1 militant was killed, and as you speak, the second terrorist was gunned down. So it took to the count to 2 terrorists, and it is believed that a couple of more terrorists are hiding in that forest area. So the operation is going on. Additional deployment has been proceeding. The drones and other modern technology is being used to ensure that the operation is concluded at the earliest before the evening. Gautam.
Right, Shabir. Thanks a lot for joining us with that update from Srinagar. Now, in a significant step towards enhancing its operational mobility and supporting the armed forces, Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative also in India, the Indian Army will procure 212 state-of-the-art 50-ton tank transporter trailers from from a leading technology solutions company. The contract, worth 223.95 crore INR, was signed with Accesscades Aerospace and Technologies Private Limited under the Buy Indian IDDM category. These next-generation trailers come equipped with hydraulic or pneumatic loading ramps and steerable and liftable axles, enabling swift and efficient transportation of tanks and other armored vehicles across diverse and challenging terrains. The advanced mobility solutions offered by these platforms will act as a force multiplier for the field army, significantly enhancing its logistical and operational capabilities. This indigenous procurement not only marks a boost to the Indian defence manufacturing ecosystem, but also promises sustained employment generation. Meanwhile, apart from safeguarding the country, the Indian Army remains steadfast in its commitment to assist civil authorities during natural calamities as well, continuing its dedicated flood relief operations across affected regions of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Punjab. Flood relief column operating are actively conducting reconnaissance of affected areas to assess potential requirements for relief and support. They are also providing technical assistance for waterlogging issues due to flood-like conditions. So far, 105 civilians rescued and extended medical aid to over 300 persons. The Indian Army continues to monitor the situation closely and remains fully prepared to respond to any emergent contingencies with speed, compassion and professionalism. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday visited his parliamentary constituency Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh and inaugurated key developmental projects worth nearly 2,200 crore Indian rupees. The development projects cover road, hospitals and schools to clean water and smart power. With this, Varanasi moves closer to the Viksit Bharat vision, blending spiritual heritage with cutting-edge progress. Now, in a significant step towards farmer welfare as well, Prime Minister Modi released the 20th installment of PM Kisan, transferring over 20,000 crore Indian rupees to 9.7 crore farmers across the country. Under PM Modi's leadership, Indian agriculture has seen a historic shift with tech-driven reforms and strong farmer support. Addressing the gathering on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi said a grand farmers festival was being held in Varanasi with over 20,000 crore rupees directly transferred to farmers' accounts.
आज यहाँ एक विराट किसान उत्सव का आयोजन हो रहा है। देश के 10 करोड़ किसान भाइयों बहनों के खातों में 21,000 करोड़ रुपए पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि के रूप में भेजे गए हैं। और जब काशी से धन जाता है ना, वो तो अपने आप प्रसाद बन जाता है।
Highlighting the country's economic progress, Prime Minister Modi said that India is on the path to becoming the world's third largest economy, and therefore India must remain vigilant about its economic interests.
दुनिया की अर्थव्यवस्था कई आशंकाओं से गुजर रही है। अस्थिरता का माहौल है। ऐसे में दुनिया के देश अपने अपने हितों पर फोकस कर रहे हैं। भारत भी दुनिया की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनने जा रहा है। इसलिए भारत को भी अपने आर्थिक हितों को लेकर सजग रहना ही है।
Also in Varanasi, Prime Minister Modi inquired about the flood situation from the Divisional Commissioner and District Magistrate. He also sought information about the preparedness as well as relief operations to assist people. Prime Minister Modi also inquired about the arrangements for the people in the relief camps and the people who took shelter in different places. He yet again emphasized that people who are affected should get all possible support from the local administration. And the PM has also shared an article by Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy on how India is reshaping its industrial landscape with a strong focus on electric mobility, green technology and self-reliant manufacturing. Minister Kumaraswamy underscored that India's industrial landscape is undergoing transformation powered by the ethos of Atmanirbhar Bharat. The minister noted that under PM Narendra Modi's leadership, the Ministry of Heavy Industries is building an ecosystem that is vibrant, self-reliant and aligned with Viksit Bharat 2047 vision. From electric mobility to advanced manufacturing, R&D, that's driven innovation to sustainable infrastructure, India is empowering industries to scale globally while reducing import dependence. Now, on the occasion of India's Independence Day, which is coming up soon on the 15th of August, an at-home reception is to be held at Rashtrapati Bhavan, that's the President's estate. An official invitation to attend the event, such on behalf of President Draupadi Murmu, was received by Hindumbe, a distinguished nurse and recipient of the 2022-23 National Florence Nightingale Award in Lakshadweep. The invitation conveys the message that the presence of such individuals who have rendered exceptional service to humanity would serve as an inspiration to others. The annual event, held on the 15th of August, brings together inspiring people from all over India known for their outstanding work in different walks of life. A Florida jury on Friday found Tesla liable in a deadly 2019 crash involving its autopilot system and ordered the company to pay a staggering $329 million in damages to the victim's family. The payout includes $129 million for compensatory damages and $200 million for punitive damages. Tesla was sued by the estate of Naibel Benavides Leon and by her former boyfriend Dylan Angelou. The lawsuit stemmed from a 2019 crash when George McGee drove his 2019 Tesla Model S and slammed into a parked Chevrolet Tahoe. The victims were standing beside the SUV on the shoulder. Negotiators will take another stab at reaching a global pact on plastic pollution at talks opening on Tuesday in Geneva, but they face deep divisions over how to tackle the health and ecological hazard. The coming 10 days of talks involving delegates from nearly 180 nations follows a failure to reach a deal last December on how to stop millions of tons of plastic waste entering the environment each year. Plastic pollution is so ubiquitous that microplastics have been found on the highest mountain peaks, in the deepest ocean trenches and scattered throughout almost every part of the human body. In 2022, countries agreed they would find a way to address the crisis by the end of 2024, but the talks in Busan, South Korea, failed to overcome fundamental challenges. Let's now take a quick look at other stories making the news around the world as well. A SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule docked at the International Space Station. The 4-astronaut team, which was part of the 11th research expedition to the orbiting laboratory under NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Chilean copper giant Codelco has halted mining at its flagship EI 10-inch mine as it continued rescue operations to pull out fire traps workers following a deadly collapse. Meanwhile, authorities have been investigating whether the incident was caused due to natural causes or due to mining activity. Now, US rapper Busta Rhymes has received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in Los Angeles, honoring a musical career spanning over 3 decades. During the ceremony, hip-hop legends LL Cool J and Big Daddy Kane described Rhymes as one of the leaders of his generation. China's Hengshui Lake, a national nature reserve, is dazzling visitors this season as thousands of acres of lotus ponds burst into bloom. Known as the region's most stunning wetland, the site is home to 336 bird species and nearly 600 kinds of plants. And still to come in this edition of Leading India News Hour. We'll be speaking with our expert guest about the dangers of a nuclear confrontation due to the war of words between Donald Trump and Dmitry Medvedev.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. And now let's turn to the kind of threats that are now being issued and a nuclear bogey which has been raised by not just Donald Trump but former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev as well, who's still part of the security apparatus of Russia. Let's bring in Ravi Joshi, visiting fellow of the Observer Research Foundation, to talk about it. Good evening to you, Ravi. What do you make of what's happening? How seriously should the world be taking these two bickering men?
Well, you have rightly put it that these two bickering men, that shows that the world really cannot take them seriously. The world has now got accustomed to President Trump's maverick announcements, which are basically disrupting the world order, not in any kind of a concrete action, but as threats, which are, sometimes they sound empty rhetoric, but then they become concrete threats like imposition of tariffs, which are truly upsetting the world economy, and we cannot completely disregard Trump, but we cannot at the same time take him seriously, literally, on everything that he says. This entire snafu between former President Medvedev of Russia and President Trump is absolutely unwarranted and an irrelevant distraction from the major problems that are facing the region. Sorry. You see, this is in no way affecting the course of the war in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's not really specific. I mean, Donald Trump has said nuclear submarines. It's not clear whether these are nuclear-powered submarines, whether they are nuclear-armed, or both.
Well, when you say nuclear submarines, they mean nuclear-armed submarines. Just having a nuclear engine does not make it a major threat. It is the kind of weapon systems it carries. And so when you say nuclear submarine, it is nuclear armed. And the positioning of these nuclear submarines in the vicinity of Russia, either in the North Sea or in the Siberian eastern direction, it is not known. But anyway, it is a provocative move. And I hope Russia does not reciprocate this kind of a move in any serious manner. And President Putin, as I notice right now, is seriously engaged in completing the task in Ukraine. If you see what has happened in the last 1 or 2 hours, the news that came out just now is that some 8,000 casualties have been inflicted in Ukraine, and Russia has captured 7 major military industrial complexes in Ukraine, which is a very alarming and shocking development, because this suddenly escalates the war into an unknown territory. It can be interpreted two ways. That President Putin has actually taken President Trump's warning that he should finish the war, he should come to peace negotiations within 10 to 12 days. So he is now nearing the end game of the war in Ukraine. That's why this major military blitzkrieg in Ukraine, and he wants to consolidate whatever he has gained or captured, and make the last push into the regions. Maybe beyond Kharkiv. Well, Donbass is already under Russian control, and Donbass have become the Russian territories, and even it has been ratified by the Russian Senate. So now what he wants to capture is as much of Ukrainian eastern territories that have Russian population. And probably he wants to complete this end game in the next week or so, and then come to peace talks as per President Trump's advice. So that may be what is happening right now. That is more important for us to focus on than this Medvedev-Trump controversy, which is going to go nowhere.
But do you think Donald Trump has made this statement, whatever kind of statement it is, because it was Medvedev who really stirred things up by mentioning the Russian dead hand, which is quite a specific kind of a term to use, and perhaps that's what alarmed Donald Trump?
Yes. This dead hand it was a Cold War era terminology, which meant that a nuclear apparatus would automatically switch on the controls in case all the political leadership is eliminated. That is what the dead hand refers to. Now to revoke that kind of a terminology is absolutely unwarranted on the part of Medvedev. And Medvedev, as it is known as a hardliner. He's a hawk in the Russian political structure. But he's completely a puppet of President Putin. I mean, he does not have an independent constituency of his own or a power base of his own. And, if President Putin is letting him make these noises because it suits him to respond to President Trump's outbursts. So that's all that there is. And Medvedev may be eased out any time that Putin wants to. And Putin wants to, if he wants to warm up to President Putin, President Trump, he will simply ease out Medvedev. He's not a major factor in the Russian political scene.
The basic issue is that Donald Trump is frustrated, isn't he? Because he had said that one of his poll planks was that he'll ensure there's peace in Ukraine on the first day in office, and that hasn't really happened. It's been more than 100 days now. So do you feel that is something that is making Trump make these statements, and yet he's unable to force Putin to come to the negotiating table?
Absolutely. There are 3 world figures right now whom I can count upon who have been completely irresponsive to President Trump's overtures. One is Prime Minister Netanyahu, the other is President Putin, and the third is Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, of course, doesn't even respond. He doesn't care what all the noises that Trump is making. So President Trump seems to be quite a helpless man. I mean, he is making all kinds of noises, saying that I stopped 5 wars in 5 major regions in the world, and I should be now getting the Nobel Prize, and all kinds of desperate statements he's making. But the major conflict areas are still in conflagration. There is still fire burning in these regions, like Israel's attack on Palestine or Russian attack on Ukraine. The fires are very much burning in this region, and President Trump is unable to do anything. So, so I don't see any great progress made by Trump. I mean, of course, Iran-Israel war ended because Iran realized that it would be extremely foolhardy upon its part to take on Israel at that juncture. And India-Pakistan war also ended because we had almost achieved our military objectives. So, so it is not great achievement on the part of Trump that that these major wars ended in this region, and the countries themselves realized the futility of such kind of wars.
But do you feel that we are in a fairly dangerous zone now because of the kind of words that have been thrown about in terms of mobilizing nuclear submarines? Does the world really face the danger of a nuclear confrontation, which can be, well, it can really destroy the entire world?
No, I don't see any such danger coming out of this Trump-Medvedev confrontation. A nuclear word has been used by President Putin in the past in the Ukrainian context. He threatened the NATO powers which were planning to intervene on behalf of Ukraine when Keir Starmer made a statement of sending troops into Ukraine, or even when West Germany made some noises that it might supply cruise missiles or major war equipment to Ukraine. That time, President Putin threatened to use, he used the nuclear word. I mean, but still at that time, I don't think President Putin is that kind of a leader who would be so reckless. And nor should Trump be. And Trump has always been prided himself on being a deal maker, on being a peacemaker. So for him to provoke a nuclear confrontation would be extremely foolhardy, and it would be it is not in keeping with his style of politics, the kind of politics that he's been talking about for the last 2 terms. And even before his campaign term, he always was against wars and against American involvement outside America. So that being Trump's policy, I don't think there's any danger of nuclear confrontation.
Okay, well, let's hope that this is just another of those Trump tirades that we've seen too many of ever since he's returned to the White House. But let's see how things unfold. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Mr. Joshi.
Thank you.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news as well around the country. India's Minister for Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal interacted with leading industry captains from the textile sector in Mumbai. The minister discussed bold ideas to enhance global competitiveness, sustainability, innovation and value chain integration with an aim towards India's rise as a global textiles powerhouse. India's Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan attended the 2nd edition of the Chinar Book Festival that kicked off in Srinagar on Saturday. The minister said that Jammu and Kashmir is going to transform into a hub of knowledge and research through New Education Policy 2020 under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. The 9-day literary event features over 200 publishers offering books in Hindi, Urdu, Kashmiri and English. The Election Commission of India on Saturday announced that it will enhance remunerations for booth-level officers and other positions under the BLOs who are involved in preparation and revision of electoral rolls. The revision was last done in 2015. The ECI also approved 6,000 rupees incentives for BLOs for special intensive revision starting from Bihar. 3 workers suffered minor injuries due to the falling of a rock at an under-construction dam site near the Badrinath National Highway in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand. The administration confirmed that all injured workers are out of danger and there was no loss of life in the incident, although the incident created a panic situation among the local people. And still to come in this edition of DD India News Hour. Japan endures the hottest July on record since 1898. The weather agency warns of more severe heat ahead. South Korean soccer player Son Heung-min will end his decade-long spell with English club Tottenham Hotspur this summer.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, after years of delay due to land compensation issues, construction of the 18.5-kilometer railway line from India's Bhatnaha to Nepal's Kathari has restarted. The Indian side had finished its 5-kilometer stretch, but Nepal's 13.6-kilometer section was stalled over land disputes. A Supreme Court ruling cleared the way, and fencing for the station yard is now underway. Soil filling will begin soon. Funded by India, the project only needed land from Nepal. Officials aim to finish this work in 1.5 years, though costs may rise slightly due to the delay. India's Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister Bhupendra Yadav took part in Matrivan, reaffirming India's stance on One Earth, One Family, One Future. In a powerful display of environmental solidarity, Union Housing and Urban Affairs and Power Minister Manohar Lal jointly led the celebrations by planting saplings. The event highlighted India's push for clean energy, with growing focus on solar power and a steady rise in the use of non-carbon energy sources to meet rising energy demand. Promoting plantation of millions of trees each year to combat deforestation, desertification and climate change. And time now to talk about sports as well. And first we have cricket, where India resumed their innings on day 3 at 75 for 2 with a handy lead against England in the 5th and final test of the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy at the Oval. Yashasvi Jaiswal and Akashdeep are currently batting at the crease, and with India's lead crossing the 100 runs mark till reports last came in. In fact, now the lead is about 119 runs as India is at 142 for the loss of 2 wickets. Now, earlier KL Rahul and Sai Sudarshan had lost their wickets, but Akashdeep came in as the night watchman and ensured that India did not suffer any additional losses. Earlier on day 2, India collapsed early, posting just 224 runs. But Mohammad Siraj and Prasidh Krishna led a firing comeback, dismissing the hosts at 247, ensuring they don't get a big lead. Both pacers claimed 4 wickets each. The fate of the India versus England series is on the line at the Oval Test, with England currently leading the 5-match series 2-1. Both the sides are missing crucial players. While India don't have pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah and keeper Rishabh Pant, the hosts are missing captain Ben Stokes for this particular game, and a vital component of their bowling contingent is also out due to a shoulder injury. So how critically poised is this particular match? The 5th match, the series is 2-1. If India win, it's a drawn series. If India don't, well, India lose. No scenario for India to win, but let's find out from Narayan what's really at stake here. Narayan, just tell us day 3 now, and England trying to play baseball and faltering, trying to get to that or cross or get a big lead against India for their 2nd innings, setting that up, but it's not really happened. Things have not gone to plan for England at all.
Right, Gautam, as you mentioned that things are not going England's way here, because as the Yashasvi Jaiswal and night watchman Akashdeep played a fantastic cricket here right now. Actually, what happened, there is a bright sunshine in Oval in London today, and whenever there is a sunshine and a bright sun is there, the conditions become conducive for batting. And yesterday and day before yesterday, you saw the conditions were not up to the mark for the batters. There was a bit variable bounce on the wicket. Sometimes it was keeping low, sometimes it was high. But today, I think with the sunshine, the batting conditions are good, and the way Yashasvi Jaiswal and Akashdeep are treating the English bowlers, it is in a fantastic way. And now Yashasvi Jaiswal is playing around 80 runs, and Akashdeep too, he is reaching around 40. So it's a good thing from Indians' perspective. And now it will be between the jazz ball versus bass ball. If from here Jaiswal can take India inning to a big lead, he can score a big daddy 100 here for India, definitely the match will just go away from England's hands. And right now we are witnessing the kind of batting, the kind of skill he is displaying. And yesterday also he was dropped 2 times by the English fielders, but we know that he has the capability to take the games away. And the most important part of Jaiswal's inning here in this match is that first time he is crossing the 50-run mark in the second innings of this series. If you take a look, only once he has crossed the double-digit figure in his second innings. But right now, the way he's playing, taking the responsibility, he knows the importance of this match. It's going to be big for India, not only by winning or losing the match, because the result of this match will decide the result of the series, because it's very important to win this match to level the series and also to have the important WTC's point. It's the first we can say the starter, opener of the World Test Championship Series for India. So we are hoping that India will stick to their plans, and after that, strong batting lineup will be there. Shubman Gill is there, Karun Nair is there, Ravindra Jadeja is there, Washington Sundar is there. So a strong batting line. But thing is that you play traditional cricket, stick to the basic, and on the other hand, it's 11 versus 10, because English bowler Chris Wokes is not there. He's the frontline bowler for them, and in his absence, his English bowling is looking very weak, and he's also an all-rounder and can hit big shots for the English team. So here, this will be the deciding factor for the result of this match. We are hoping that Yashasvi Jaiswal will continue the momentum and will at least put a target of 300 plus for England, and I think 300 plus target on this surface is going to be very difficult.
Certainly, and while you were speaking, Narayan, Akashdeep, our night watchman, has hit Atkinson for 2 fours. So now he's, I think, on 47. But you mentioned sunny weather right now as well, which might be helping the batsman. But the weather in England is completely unpredictable. But do you think there is enough time? It's just the 3rd day today. We will definitely have a result, possibly. We're all praying it might be in India's favour.
Though right now the things are quite flowery for India, as you mentioned, because as you also said that the weather in English condition in England is quite unpredictable. In the one session we will see there is a bright sunshine, but in the next session there will be overcast conditions. So overcast condition makes make the situation difficult for the bowling. If you take a look at the pitch, on day 1, on day 2, there was a grass of 8 mm on the pitch. But today with the sunshine coming out, sun is there, there is the brownish surface is visible there. And that's why we are seeing that the bit of moisture that it is beneath the grass, it goes out with the sunshine. And because of that, we can see that the ball is nicely coming to the bat and the batters are scoring the runs. So if the conditions will be like this only at least for 2 sessions, definitely, as you mentioned, it will be going to be difficult for the English batters here, because India has a strong batting lineup. If you take a look, English bowlers, they have changed their whole bowling lineup after the 4th test match. Jofra Archer is not there, and also the way Chris Wokes, their key bowler of the tournament, who took important wickets, is also injured, and also their captain, the soul of the English team, he is also not there. So right now the conditions are in favor of the Indian team, but they should stick to the basics, stick to the traditional cricket, should not go for the entertaining shot. Yesterday, the way we saw Jaiswal was dropped twice by the English batters. We know he has the capability. He should continue this momentum, and after that, we have a fantastic batting lineup. So definitely, as you mentioned, it's an upper hand for the India in this match.
Okay, वैसे I won't mind seeing Jaiswal playing some baseball after he gets to 100. Let's hope that happens, and we have an interesting match ahead. Plenty of time left in it. Several sessions to go, and let's hope the weather holds too, so that a good result for us, for India, is produced. Thanks a lot for joining, Narayan. Now, South Korean soccer player Son Heung-min has announced on Saturday that he will end his decade-long spell with Premier League club Tottenham Hotspur this summer. The 33-year-old Son, who is contracted with Spurs until 2026, played a key role in helping the club secure their first trophy in 17 years with a win over Manchester United in the Europa League final in May. He joined the North London side from Bayer Leverkusen in 2015. Although he did not reveal his next destination, reports linked Son with a potential move to Major League Soccer's Los Angeles FC. Son has made 454 appearances for Spurs and has scored 173 goals. He claimed the Premier League Golden Boot during the 2021-22 season. And let's get you some weather updates as well. First from India. First Japan. Well, Japan sweltered through its hottest July since records began in 1898. The weather agencies reported warning of further severe heat in the month ahead. Heat waves are becoming more intense and frequent the world over because of human-caused climate change, and Japan is no exception. The average temperature in July was up a record 2.89 degrees Celsius from the 1991-2020 average for the month, Japan Meteorological Agency said on Friday. And the Indian Met Department has forecast a marginal reduction in rain intensity in Delhi and NCR, with very light to light rainfall expected till Sunday. However, the Met Department has lifted yellow alert warning and has forecast generally cloudy sky for the national capital. Also, amid effective fishermen alerts until the 5th of August along coastal areas adjoining Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, the IMD's forecast isolated heavy rainfall in Tamil Nadu and Kerala over the next 5 days. Over West India, light to moderate rainfall is likely during the next 5 to 6 days. Also, due to the monsoon, most parts of Nepal, especially the hilly regions and some areas of the Tarai, are to experience moderate rain with thunder and lightning. The Meteorological Forecasting Division has informed that the low pressure line of the monsoon is located slightly north from the average position. There is a possibility of heavy rain in 1 or 2 places in Koshi, Gandaki and Lumbini provinces. Also, fans of the popular Japanese manga series Chikiwa are in for a treat as the beloved comic characters come to life in a month-long exhibition at Simshasui in Hong Kong. From giant inflatables to cute scenes, this Chikawa exhibition blends manga with local culture. Extended by popular demand, it's a must-see for tourists, locals and anime fans alike. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's both on Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen, get the app. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.